get this thing fully rolling and off to our first session, I get to introduce or pass things off to Ting Liu, Program Quality Director, to introduce our first speaker. Ting, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our virtual TLI. This is the first major virtual TLI for this fiscal year, and I thank my team, Brendan, Bart, and Kevin, who have worked so hard to put this together, and many of our wonderful trainers. Our first great trainer, that's Kevin Clark. Kevin Clark has achieved PM5, IP4, has been a Toastmaster since October 2018. As a member of TMHP Toastmasters, he has served as a Secretary, President, VP of Education, and now Treasurer. He is a high-performance leader. He is a high-performance leadership project as a distinguished Toastmaster project away from earning his DTM. You heard it today here, and now he will complete his DTM this Toastmasters year. The father of a son in Houston, with his first grandbaby on her way, due in November. He is also involved as a member of Scouts, BSA, and the Central Texas Basket Weavers Guild. Kevin and his wife of 37 years live in Cedar Park, north of Austin, with their Shih Tzu, Poodle mix, Rescue, Pup, Archie. That's great. Today, Kevin will be working with us on the mission of building new clubs and retaining the members we have. Let's welcome Kevin Clark.
Thank you, Ting. If I could get a thumbs up to show that you do see my slides and got to see my son and my baskets and my scouting and my wife and my doggy.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Well, technology is working for us. Well, today I'm going to be talking about membership and club building, and we're going to have a discussion here on some of the best practices and some tips and tricks, and hopefully you will be able to join in and help us out here with that. So looking forward to it. So I looked for a quote from Dr. Smedley on membership, and I couldn't find one. And then I Googled quotes about members for Toastmasters, and this is what came up. Every member of Toastmasters has a unique story to tell, and together we create a tapestry of inspiration. I like that a lot. I thought that was a really good way of putting what we do here. I can't take claim for that myself, but I did want to make sure that everybody knew that that was not my original thought, but that's something that I did find. So we've got some cold hard facts that we need to address, and that is that we're losing clubs and members. And if you look at this graph, and the graph is just a clip art, but if you read these numbers, you can see that we've gone from 180 clubs down to about 145 or less. Our membership has dropped almost 3,000 members. This is our district, by the way, and we've really plummeted in the number of distinguished clubs we have. So why does all of that matter? Well, bear with me just a moment. Okay, so why do we need to grow? That's a good question. We want, when we're growing, when our clubs are growing, when we're getting new members, it renews our enthusiasm. It helps us to be excited about what we're doing in our clubs. Also, because there is about a 40% drop-off rate each year in Toastmasters, they've had these numbers for a long time and they've crunched them. You need to have new members for continuity and growth. You need to have the next generation of Toastmasters coming up to replace those that are going to drop off, and to help those that are getting a little bit tired of always being the go-to people. So when we bring in more people, we encourage that continuity and the growth of the club. Diversity. Diversity is something that I think all of us can relate to. when we have the same members over and over and over, and we don't grow, we're not getting the new ideas and the different points of view from other people, which is so very important. As we grow, we provide leadership opportunities to new members, as well as opportunities for our existing members to mentor them. We grow because we're able to network with other people and to find common interests and maybe even a new job out of what you're doing. And growing helps us to adapt to change. Things are always changing. They say that's the only constant, and that's something that we need to be very clear about. So I wanted to go through and give you some strategies for retaining the members that we have. It's great to get new people in, but what about those folks that are still with us? We want to keep them going. We want to keep them coming back. And here's some ways that we can do that. First off, we want to create a welcoming environment. It's tough in this venue for me to have you show me your hands, but let me know, or just think about this. Have you ever walked into a room of strangers and felt completely alone, that nobody cared that you were there or not? We can't have our members feel that, or we can't have our guests feel that way when they show up at one of our clubs. I know that when I first went to a Toastmasters meeting, it was warm and welcoming, and it was truly a place where I felt like I wanted to belong. And so it's good to know that we all have that need to be appreciated, and we want to be able to feel that right away we're welcomed into the place. So create a welcoming environment. That's number one. Number two, have engaging meetings. I've been interviewing the international director candidates, and one of the international director candidates was talking to us about demo meetings. And they told a story about how they had put together a demo meeting and had asked an experienced Toastmaster who was going to be the table topics master to be sure to have a light and encouraging table topic. And to also, for the first table topic, to be sure to call on one of the existing Toastmasters and not one of the prospective members. So here's the lighthearted topic that they got. If you were a surgeon and had to give the news that somebody's family member was not going to survive, how would you do it? Well, I think you can imagine that put a whole different spin on the meeting. And although it was an engaging question, it wasn't the right question at the right time. So we want to make sure that we're having a great meeting that gives people a good feeling about being there. Now, I can tell you that we do get into some pretty serious topics in our table topics, but usually that's after we've broken the ice with some experience, and certainly wouldn't ask that of a brand new prospect. As you all know, feedback is a gift, and it's something that we take very seriously here in Toastmasters. Feedback is one of the ways that we can help retain our members. And we want to make sure that we're giving them good, positive feedback that is constructive criticism. How many ahs, ums, and other verbal disfluencies did they use? You might want to soften the blow and say, well, there were over 10, or there were 15, or there were 17. But if that member doesn't know how many times they say they're never going to be able to grow from it. I personally appreciate it when somebody gives me the cold hard fact that, yes, I am the Wizard of Oz, and I said 10 times during my speech. That way, the next speech, if I give 9 ahs and not 10, I know that I've improved. So we want to provide that valuable feedback to our members. All of us came into Toastmasters with some goals. And whatever those goals were, we need to make sure that members are setting those and tracking those goals. We want to have follow-up because people have their own reasons for being here as part of the organization. And so one of the things that we strongly encourage is that everybody write down their goals, make them SMART goals, meaning that they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. This is an important thing, and you can find information on SMART goals on many, many places in the internet. I'm not going to cover that too much here, other than to say that you want to make sure that your goals are aligned with what your vision and what you want to get out of Toastmasters is. I won't ask for a show of hands here either, but how many of you know Barbara Abbott? Barbara Abbott is a dear, sweet friend of mine now. And I had participated in a club contest. And after she heard my table topic speech, she came up to me afterwards and said, you know, you'd make a great area director. Well, I was brand new to Toastmasters. I didn't know what an area director was from Adam. And I was like, wow, she sees something in me. She sees that I can be a leader. And, you know, that was the beginning of me even beginning to think about leadership. So when the club elections came around, I signed up and I took on a role. I ran for secretary. And then from secretary, they convinced me to be president. And then from president, I've been VPE, and I've held a variety of roles. And I can attribute it all back to the fact that somebody saw in me the ability to be a leader. So I'm sticking around now because somebody showed me that this is a path that I can take. I was real interested in Toastmasters for the public speaking aspect, not so much for the leadership, but it's here I am, Club Growth Director, and trying to do my very best in that leadership role. And all of our members need those opportunities to serve. How many of you have social events? Now, in this virtual world that we're in, it's tough to get together, but many of you are in clubs that do get together on a regular basis. And aren't you having fun? Now, my club, my home club, is a corporate club, and we've gone completely virtual just because of the nature of our business and also the fact that we have people that are spread far and wide. But that won't hold us back from holding a social. Sure, the guy that lives in Ohio and the one that lives in San Antonio may not be able to attend our meeting, but we will, for those core people that are able to attend, it will be an opportunity for us to bond and do that. We'll also have some sort of a hybrid aspect for it so that we aren't just shutting out our far-flung members. So again, you want to organize social events so that you can build that camaraderie and that friendship. Some more strategies. You need to recognize accomplishments. Y'all saw the picture of my son and my beautiful daughter-in-law who are expecting their first baby. Last week, my son came to me and said, Dad, I took my test and I passed. And I'm like, that's great, son. I am so darn proud of you. He's a construction man. He works for a construction management company. They don't build anything, but they keep architects and contractors and the like on target for building projects, usually for folks like school districts and EMS stations, those kinds of things. And Spencer had been working hard at this for months, taking a test to become a certified construction manager. Many of the people in his company from his management knew that he was taking this. His boss's boss, immediately when he found out, gave him an attaboy, a congratulations, Spencer, I'm so proud of you. His boss's boss's boss, the president of the company, same story. When he found out that Spencer had passed his construction management test, he again congratulated Spencer. But you know, Spencer's immediate boss, he said, yeah, that's great. I need to talk to you about something else. No recognition, no attaboy. And Spencer felt deflated. Yes, he had gotten great accolades from other people within the company, but he didn't get the information. He didn't get the recognition from the one person that he thought would have been most excited about it for him. Now, I'm incredibly proud of my son, and I can tell him all day long how proud I am of him. But when you hear that from others, that is really true. People that are outside of your family. And our club members deserve to get the recognition that they have. You know, in my club, when you give your icebreaker speech, you get your Toastmaster pin. When you reach a different level, we make sure to make a big deal about it because we want everybody to really get recognized for the various things that they are doing. The next thing I want to talk about is quality. If we improve our club quality, and that is all of the things that are part of the Distinguished Club program, if we're building members, if we're going for our education points, if we're doing all of the things that we need to do to have a successful club, it will be a quality club and people will want to participate and will want to be part of it. We talked a little bit about at the beginning to set goals, but we need to make sure that we're not just setting those goals, but supporting the goals of our members. Each member has their specific reason why they joined Toastmasters, and we want to be sure that we are supporting them in that when they, and one of the best ways that we can do that is by providing mentors to our folks. Communications is so important. Pick up the phone, send out an email. You need to make sure that your members are getting the information about the club. How many of you out there know that if you renew your dues by July 31st, that you will save $15 on your membership compared to if you wait till August 1st? That's an important piece of information that all of our club members need to know and understand so that they are able to take advantage of that. We talked about diversity being an important thing for helping a club stay strong, and inclusion of other people is super important. We want to make sure that we're not just a tight-knit clique that doesn't allow anybody else in. We want to take all comers and have them be able to participate and have their um, special strengths and talents used fully within the group. And finally, we want to talk about mentoring. How many of you have a mentor? And is that a useful relationship? How many of you have a protege? And are you able to help your protege? One of the things that I've found is that I grow in my Toastmasters journey when I am helping others to grow in theirs. You don't have to have every single answer. You just need to be able to find the answer for someone who is looking for your advice. Mentoring can go on for years or it can be a short-term thing, but every member of Toastmasters should have a mentor. I believe that this is one of the key programs that we have that will help retain members. So in summary, let's talk about this. We want to foster a welcoming environment. We want to hold those engaging, fun meetings. We want to provide valuable feedback to our members. We want to help them set their goals. We want to encourage them to take on leadership opportunities. We'll have social events to help the fun factor. And then we also want to recognize accomplishments, strive to be a quality club, support the individual's goals, and finally, maintain communication, be flexible and inclusive, and establish a mentoring program. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the club members and how we can retain them. It's also important for us to realize that as a district, we need to grow more clubs in order to be a strong district and to help bring this message to other people. Starting a Toastmasters club can be a rewarding endeavor that can help people with improve their public speaking and leadership skills. We all know this. This is why we signed up. So here's the district mission. We build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. And how do we do that? We start off by identifying interests. Some of you are in community clubs, and you might have a certain target market that you're working with. I'm in a corporate club. That's my home club. And in that club, we are all have in common that we work for the same organization, and that is our common interest. But we all want to improve our speaking abilities and leadership so that we are promotable. If you're building a club, you need to get 20 members together. Now that can seem like a daunting task, but there's a lot of opportunities out there for us to grow our clubs and grow new clubs. We need to have a good meeting place. For many of us, that's going to be virtual. But for others of you, you might find that you can meet in a library or a church or another location. Obviously, with my company having gone virtual, we found that using Teams was the best solution for our group. You want to get together and put together the club officer group. Now, officers are important to keep the club going, and they don't just automatically happen. So a club needs a strong leadership core, but don't worry if you don't know exactly what to do. That's why we have TLIs. That's why we have area directors. That's why we have division directors and the district leadership to help us to support you in all the things that you need to do. There's paperwork that goes along with registering and chartering a club. We won't talk too much about that. When you get to that point, I'll be able to help you with that. And this next thing is super important. Each member of your club needs to choose a path and get on that right away. I know there are some of you who have been under the legacy program that may find that the new pathways is a challenge, but that is the program that we have today. And we want to encourage all of our new members to choose a path and start working it right away. You want to hold regular meetings. Whether you decide that you're going to be a monthly club, a bi-weekly club, or a weekly club, or some other interval, you want to make sure that you're holding those regular meetings and people can count on them. And what do you do if only 2 people show up? You still hold the meeting. Maybe you give each other a table topic. Now that would not be an ideal situation, but continuing to have and run regular meetings is very important. Part of that regular meeting needs to be that you have a meeting agenda. Providing training and orientation to your members is super important. New members need to learn how to use pathways. It's not as intuitive as we'd like it to be. They're working on it, but it's something that we can all improve by taking our time, getting the training that we need, getting those new members oriented to what is out there and available to them. If we were in a live environment, I would be asking you to tell me how you promote your club. And some of you would be telling me that you don't have to promote your club because you're a closed group that is just for the members of your organization. But you still need to be able to promote your club and make sure that you're getting the word out to it. This is imperative for our community clubs. Have you ever considered maybe going to a fair or a show or something that is put on by your Chamber of Commerce, and maybe getting a table there and having a couple of members promote your club there? That could be a great way to get some leads. You can also promote your club by using things such as search engine optimization for your website. And there will be more training on that coming up. I have somebody who talked to me on Saturday at our last TLI, and he said, yeah, this has been super important and super effective for our club. When people are looking for us, they find us because our name comes to the top of the list when they're searching in Google. Submitting dues and reports, that's a necessary evil that we all have to do. It's part of being part of a big organization like we are. We want to focus on the growth and development of each of the members. We want to get involved in the Toastmasters community. That means stepping up for district roles, become an area director, become a division director. These are all things that you can do as a club. How many of you have been to somebody else's club and found that, hey, they don't do things the way we do? Well, I was really surprised because I had been going to my club for a year, in and out every week, going to my meetings, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to another club and they had a joke master. And I thought, why don't we have a joke master? That was really, really a bummer. That would have been so much fun. And so that's something that we're considering adding to our group. Other places, other clubs rather, recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Our club is more international, so we don't do that, but some clubs have an invocation, some don't. Every club has its own culture and they do things just a little bit differently. We talked about maintaining club quality as a way to help make sure that people are staying in the club. And that's goes for new clubs as well. We want to make sure that they're getting a sponsor, that they're getting mentors as they need it, and that they have a club coach. So what's in it for you? Why should you bother to keep members up and even consider doing a new club? Well, the short answer there is you will have the opportunity to grow in your own personal development. You'll be able to know that you're sharing the Toastmasters message with others, and you will be able to have a successful and rewarding Toastmasters career. At this point, I am done with my presentation. So let me stop sharing. And let's see, we've got 151 people in this room. That is fabulous. What a great turnout we're getting tonight. So what I'd like to do is, if you have a comment about how you can retain members, I'd like you to put it in the chat. What have you done in your club that was successful? I'm monitoring the chat right now to see what we get. Anybody have any ideas of what they've done to help retain members? I see people typing away. Having open houses with food. What a great idea. Yep, I talked about those social events, but I didn't really talk about open houses. Open houses are a great way to get people in. We've had some successful open houses where we have, it was some sort of a fair that my company was putting on, and Toastmasters had not ever had a real big presence at those types of events, but we provided cookies and people were there. Let's see, award ceremonies. Yeah, that recognition is so important. Making sure that members are assigned meeting roles well in advance. You know, I talked to somebody this week, Jim Lowry, and he was telling me that they have the schedule for their meetings out 3 weeks. And at the bottom of each agenda, they put who is signed up for what roles for the coming 2 weeks. And he follows up with people a few days before the meeting to make sure that they're still planning on fulfilling that role. So those are some good ways. Let's see, open houses. Oh, giving you a role during a meeting. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. You know, when you are asked to fill a role, even if it's something, even if you don't know what that role is, a little bit of training can go a long way. We often have people that are willing to take on a table topic, but you know what? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to count the ahs, ums, and other verbal disfluencies that somebody has. Open house membership appreciation luncheon. Oh, I like that. Genevieve, I'll have to ask you more about that. Let's see. You had guests come and join in on a meeting to familiarize themselves with it. Yeah, many of us are running meetings that would be great demo meetings for a guest. Molly says, have members reflect on the reason they joined Toastmasters and reset goals to keep them growing. That is so important. Why did you join Toastmasters in the first place? And remember that. Bringing a friend, that's great. An annual awards ceremony with recognitions and level completions, Newbie of the Year, Speech of the Year, Lean on Me Award. And Tina Renee says, club parties with karaoke. Well, folks, I am coming to the end of my time here, and I do appreciate all of your attention. This is a very different presentation than the one I gave Saturday, because you don't get that immediate feedback that you would in a crowd full of people. I can tell when my jokes flop or don't flop much more easily than in a virtual environment. But I do want to thank you all. I will be reaching out to many of you when it comes time for us to do club presentations and demo meetings in your area. If you have an interest in that, please reach out to me. You can reach me at TM for Toastmaster, kfclark@gmail.com, and I'm also on the district website. So with that, I will now turn the time back over to Brendan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin, if you got some time, let's maybe do a 5 to 10 minute quick Q&A if you think that's a good idea. Maybe
That's a
some
great idea, because there are
frequently asked questions. Here's what I'm gonna do. If somebody has a question, can you raise your hand, and then I'm gonna call on you and we'll see if we can get it answered for you about specifically club retention and keeping people around here in Toastmasters. Stephen, the non-Stephen King writer, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir.
Okay, my question is, with a virtual only meeting or a hybrid meeting, how do you schedule the extra time for club member retention?
That's a really good question. And what we have found is that we set the expectation that the meeting is going to open up 15 minutes before the hour, and that we will stick around afterwards, so that we do have that opportunity for those that want to be able, and our meeting is 8 a.m. every Thursday morning. And that's usually before work starts for most of our people. Usually work starts at 8. So if we're on the call by 7:45, we have that opportunity to get to know each other, to laugh, to joke, to fill in roles at the last minute if necessary. And then we're in a unique position because most of our members are part of the same contract, and we all have a Teams chat open that is open beyond the end of the meeting, and people comment on that and put in GIFs and funny stories, work appropriate, of course, and do that. So I recognize that that's a real challenge, but I think that you need to build that into your meeting, that you're going to have the meet and greet before, or the linger longer afterwards. Thank you. Anybody else have a question out there? And I may throw it out to somebody else in the group if you stump me, because I'm sure you can.
I know somebody's got something. Come on. I know you're afraid to ask it. I know you're afraid to ask it. This is the time to ask those stupid questions, specifically about club growth and membership retention. Come on, somebody's got one.
What is your philosophy? This is Livia Mitchell. Since
Hello,
we're still
Olivia.
asking, hello. What is an idea for orientation? How would you schedule that, Kevin?
That's a really good question because of the fact that there is so much to learn. But what we've done successfully in the past is that we have had a lunch and learn meeting with our new members. Anybody that wants to attend is welcome to do so. But we have a scripted 30-minute presentation on how to get into pathways, how to select your path. Once you're in there, how to maneuver and find out what you're doing. And then also making sure that we let people know that, hey, once they've completed something, they need to go back into the system, show that it's completed, and then that will trigger a message to the secretary, the VPE, and the president to let them know that that a path has been, a level has been completed and that can move forward. But that lunch and learn was the way that we did it. And, we took an hour out of somebody's lunchtime to be able to do that. And we met in a conference room at the time that we were doing those. Now we are relying more and more on our mentors in our club to help guide their individual proteges, into getting that orientation taken care of. Let's see, Genevieve says, we also do an onboarding pathway session, but we also need to touch base on progression. Now you've got a task. Okay.
Kevin, I'm going to try to put somebody. Oh, we got one from Tammy. Tammy, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. How about that? Or we can't hear you right now. You're still on mute. And if not,
Okay, have you
there,
got
I
me?
can hear you now.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Sandy O'Neill from San Marcos Toastmasters. Kevin, you were talking about pathways. What if you have people that absolutely, positively don't want to get into pathways? No matter what you try, do you have a special recipe to get these people to even try it?
Boy, if I had the magic bullet, that would be the one that I would want. I'm going to open that up to other people because from my perspective, having joined Toastmasters in 2018, the legacy program was on the way out. There, folks had just another few months, I believe, to finish up in the legacy program if they were going to try to get their DTM. So I would love to hear from other people about how they keep their legacy members engaged in a Pathways world.
I have to get them started.
I can,
Thank you.
I have a suggestion. I had a member who had started on the legacy program and then converted to Pathways. And that member was really liked to give speeches from the first manual, I think the competent communications manual. And what I did was I did this kind of a flow chart, I wouldn't call it a flow chart, but showed how every speech in that manual corresponded to a speech in Pathways and how they could give the same speech, but now it is in a pathway. So that way they are giving speeches, basically what was in the legacy program, but now you can show them you can give the same speech and meet the requirements of Pathways. So that sometimes helps.
Thank you, Mina. That's a good idea. We have a question from Tammy. Are there some tips to unifying and engaging the online and face-to-face community socially and professionally for hybrid meetings? Boy, these hybrid meetings are tough, as are the virtual ones, because part of the group is going to feel left out, unfortunately. You've got to find out what works for your group. And I just don't have a great suggestion for that. other than to provide opportunities for people to do stuff together that maybe is outside of a Toastmasters meeting. All right, Liv, you've got your hand up.
Kevin,
I do.
think he's got a
Uh,
thought.
Yeah, so I belong to a club in Georgia still, and it's hybrid, fully hybrid. And it's 6 o'clock in the morning, our time for their meeting. How do they keep me engaged? Is that we, just like I think Jim Lowry had his idea for having the whole schedule. We know exactly who's going to do what position, and they always make sure that it's half and half. That way the table topics master is actually online for people like me, and they are asking the questions to the audience. We are making sure that every agenda has half and half. So not everyone is speaking in the room. We have at least 1 or 2 speakers online. For the grammarian, I know we have the WAG here, but we divide that as we were supposed to in the previous program. So we had half and half, every single, including the philosopher, the joke master. They make sure that we have both online and those in person having a duty, and they make sure they split it right in half. The way that we do that is to make sure that we have enough cameras. The technology is well taken care of. It's always in the same. It's called Matthew's Cafe. It's a restaurant. It's where they have it, and we've had it for the past 60 years in this one location. Anyway, so the point is that that's one way that we keep our members engaged, is that we make sure that on the agenda is half and half. Half members are participating online and the other half are in the room, and we are able to hear each other.
Thank you, Livia. All right, how am I doing on time?
So Kevin, we got about, I'll allow about 5 minutes. We got at
Okay.
least 3 questions here from folks raising hands, and then I'll get to the 2 left in chat. So actually, Harvey, as area director I-32, again, thank you for your service. We want to just acknowledge that first, and thank you for being here. And ask your question to Kevin, please. Make sure you're off mute.
The question I have is on retention and attracting new members. How do we go about selling Toastmasters as being a good place to come and learn how to be better communication, better communicators and speakers? When we have a price increase, there might be some people go, yeah, that's nice, but you know, $120 a year is not for me.
Okay.
As club officers, and you know, I'm area director this Toastmaster year for I-32. How do I sell that?
Okay. Well, I would ask them, have they looked into the other offerings that are out there? Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey, any of those other programs that promote speaking and leadership are in the thousands of dollars for weekends. They are not for ongoing week after week or month after month programs. And so that is where I find the best value. Somebody brought up to me recently that the price increase is about the same as a Netflix subscription per month. Are you getting the same value out of your television streaming services that you would from this? If I were to go to I'm going to pick on Dale Carnegie just because that's one that I'm familiar with. If I go to those meetings and those presentations, I'm only going to retain about 20% of it. With an ongoing week after week program that's only $120 a year, I really still feel that there is a great value there. So that would be my spin on it. Thanks for the question.
I'm going to give these 2, we're going to go rapid fire. We'll do 15 seconds or less. From Carol Stead or Steed Carol. If I pronounced your last name wrong, I apologize. how do you deal with every path having the same lessons, such as a time you're a protege, your communication style, having to do those speeches over and over?
Have you heard of the term recursion? Every time that we do something, we are in a different place. We are a different person than when we did it before. And I would recommend that, just like table topics, where you don't have to answer the question exactly the way that it was presented to you, you can take it and put your own twist and your own spin on it. And this is a great question that we have been bringing up to the international director candidates repeatedly. People want pathways that are not the same level 1, level 2, level 3. They want to be able to get into the meat of that pathway more quickly. I believe that as we keep banging that drum with our international directors, that we will see a change to that. So hang in there, give it your own spin, and do your best to try to find a way to work with the system and see if there is a way that you can come up with something that's a little bit different spin on what they've asked you to do.
All right, Kevin, last one. This is about hybrid meetings from Genevieve. She asks, with hybrid meetings, it is so difficult to present fully since apparently they're all seated. How would you present a speech in that environment? Would you require that person to stand and work the room?
Well, I guess my question is, when I have been in the hybrid meetings, we have actually had the speakers that were in the room go up to the lectern and do all that. So I think that what you're talking about are the folks that are online, and how do they do it? We have been encouraging people in our virtual club to stand up and work the room, take full advantage of the space that they have so that you can go back and forth and do things that we used to do. I remember seeing a speech by Lorraine Boyd where she had 3 points, and she talked about point 1, then she moved to the middle of the room, talked about point 2, and then moved to the room point 3. For those of you who are experienced Toastmasters, that's old hat. Boy, that was mind-blowing to me as a new Toastmaster. So yeah, working the room really is important. And I would encourage that for not just the people in the room, but also for those people who are virtually, and to get them to stand up and do their best to try to do that. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And I look forward to supporting you and helping you. And that's where we'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, so.